Hello, welcome to True Crime and Tarot. I am Natalie, and today's case is based on Antoinette Christine Cadito. Okay, so Antoinette was born on December the 25th, 1976, and her place of birth was in New Mexico. Her hair colour is brown and her eye colour is brown also. Her height at the time of her disappearance was 4'7", weighing 55 pounds. Antoinette has some freckles. She also has some pierced ears as well, and she has a scar on her knee, a scar on her lip, and she also has moles on her back, her right cheek, her nose, left and right hands, and also her right ankle as well. Antoinette is a Navajo, and she is of an Italian descendant as well, and at the time of her disappearance she was wearing glasses. And she was known to wear a silver chain with a small turquoise cross pendant as well. And Antoinette was last seen inside her family residence in Gallup as well in New Mexico. And this was on April the 6th, 1986, and she was last seen wearing a pink nightgown as well. The field office is in Albuquerque, and they are saying that Antoinette was born on December the 25th, 1976 to Penny Cadito, which was born on 1952, and she passed away in 1999. And she was also of the Navajo Nation as well. And Auntie Montoya, which was born on 1951, and he passed away in 2012. A father of an Italian and Hispanic descendants as well. After her parents had separated, Antoinette and her younger sisters, Wendy and Sadie, was raised by their mother in Gallup in New Mexico, and Antoinette was described as being very level-headed, very wise, and she was beyond her years also. She was also very dedicated and friendly, loving and caring young girl. She was very dependent as well. And by the time she was 6 years old, she was cooking for her sisters, she was doing ironing, she'd iron their clothes also. And this was for the week as well. And she played a vital role in caring for all of her siblings as well. And she was known by her peers for displaying some type of concern for the well-being of others, particularly if they was a downcast or otherwise they was in need. And her youngest sister then later described Antoinette as having a caregiver heart, so a very loving heart. And with that, her favourite colour was purple, same as mine. And also she enjoyed listening to the music of Michael Jackson and Ronnie Missap. And she was nicknamed Squirrel. And she was a 4th graded student as well at Lincoln Elementary School, and this was when she was very attentive, above her years, above her average students as well, who displayed a flair of sports. She was very physical in PE and physical activities, and she was the winning president of the year as well in the 4th year. And outside of school, Cadito also displayed a strong interest in a weekly Bible study as well. And she was very devoted to her religious faith, like going to church and doing some Bible studies. And at the time of her disappearance, she was living with her mother and her sisters at 204 Arnold Circle, #9 Gallup, NM, which is New Mexico, 87301. Antoinette had disappeared from her home then on the United States Route of 66 in Gallup, New Mexico, in the early morning hours of April the 6th, 1986. That evening of her disappearance, Penny, which is Antoinette's mother, she was out with her friends at a local bar, and Antoinette, along with her younger sisters, Wendy and Sadie, was a babysitter at the time. And Penny had arrived home around about midnight and sent the babysitter home at the time. There is also, according to Wendy, there had been a knock at the door roughly around 3 a.m. Both the girls were still wide awake at this time, and Antoinette answered the door when she asked who was there to the person that was knocking the door, and the knocker had identified himself as Uncle Joe. So when she had opened up the door, she was grabbed by two men. She started screaming and kicking these people as well and saying, "Let me go, let me go." And these men then had forced her into a brown, was it a brown van? Yeah, that's it. And Wendy didn't recognize the men at the time, and she didn't get a good look at these faces of these men. So the following morning, when Penny awoke to prepare the girls then for Bible studies, and to the Bible school, she realised that Antoinette was not in her bedroom. After inquiring with all the neighbours, she started phoning other people. She phoned the police. Then 1 year after her disappearance, the Garrett Police Department received a frantic phone call, and in which this was a young girl, and she was claiming to be Antoinette, and the caller said that she was in Albuquerque in New Mexico. And before the girl could even start revealing her name and her whereabouts, and there was an angry adult that was in the back, which was a male voice that was heard shouting, "Who said you could use a phone?" And this was followed by a girl then that was screaming down the phone, and it sounded like a good scuffle on the end of the phone. And the phone call then just shut off, and nothing ever since that. So Antoinette's mother had believed at the time that it was in fact the voice of Antoinette, and it did not recognise the male's voice at this time. But 4 years later, in 1991, there was a waitress at a restaurant in Carson City, Nevada, that encountered a teenage girl that was matching Antoinette's features and her description, who knocked some utensils on the floor, seemingly attempting to get the waitress's attention. And according to the waitress, the girl had grabbed her hand, started squeezing the waitress's hand, and handing back the utensils. And the girl was in company of an unkept couple, and this was after the waitress had left and cleaned the table, that they had found a napkin that was under one of the plates that the girl had been eating from, and it had contained two brief messages saying "help me" and "call the police," that was also written on this napkin. The police had interviewed then a uncle who was married to Penny's sister, but declined to name him a suspect at that time. But the investigators believe that Antoinette to have been deceased, although her whereabouts is unknown as of 2021. Penny had then died on April 18th, 1999 from cirrhosis of the liver, and she did have some cardiac issues at the time. And Anthony, which is Antoinette's father, also died on August the 17th, 2012. Penny and Anthony was very much separated, and there was a lot of police, neighbours, searchers that was out looking for Antoinette, but there was no leads, nothing ended in anything. But there was an elderly woman that was saw at 6:30 a.m. a brown van outside Antoinette's home, and when the family heard about this, they did not know anyone with a brown van or that type of vehicle. And there was a lot of questioning children, and there was a tip about a potential suspect that was involved here, which had some of the young boys that they called a local man, which was a 62-year-old named Wesley Daniels, who was a paedophile that used to take kids on picnics and sexually assaulted them. And he was in the same neighbourhood of Antoinette's at the time of the abduction. And this is where I come into it, where I decided I wanted to do a tarot card reading on this case, to get a little bit of insight to see what is going to come out in the cards. So there is 4 questions I had asked in regards to this case. Number 1, what happened to Antoinette? 2, where is Antoinette? 3, who was involved in the disappearance of Antoinette? And 4, what is the final outcome to be for her case? So let's see what we have then for the first one. So what happened to Antoinette Christine Cadito? So the first card that came out was the reverse Four of Swords. So there was someone who hadn't long got out of jail. Nine of Wands. Antoinette was very anxious, very guarded, and there was a lot of defensiveness and fighting her own corner. She was in some type of battle and conflict that she was alone and was backed up to a corner and being isolated. Reverse Wheel of Fortune. There was a lot of struggles and being very much worn out. Reverse Hierophant. There was a lot of judgmental words being spoken and no tradition of any of the abductors. They broke a lot of rules and there was a lot of rebelliousness here as well, and they was also very arrogant. The Two of Pentacles, there was juggling a lot in life and there was a lot of things that was very stressful. The Empress, there was a nurturing female who was very protective and caring, that was very generous, that may have been pregnant at this time. Death card, so there was an ending for a new beginning and leaving at Leonard Pasco. There was a family secret or some type of shock that had happened and they was accepting and releasing what was. Reverse Eight of Swords, so there was some punishment and there is surrendering and being a victim. There was someone who had been in jail that had Antoinette stood up to the abuse that she was enduring at the time. The Chariot, so there was a vehicle that was involved. There was a lot of determination and success and hiding behind a mask. Reverse Two of Swords, so Antoinette was very much afraid of everything that was going on, and she was hanging on to a lot of pain and hurt, and there was a lot of fears that she was facing at this time. Who was involved in Antoinette's abduction? So reverse Five of Pentacles, there is a very unhealthy relationship to do with a couple who had a lot of financial issues. Three of Cups, there was parties, intoxication and teamwork that was involved in it as well. Reverse Ace of Cups, there was some infertility with a person who had abducted Antoinette and there was unhappiness, sadness and also some depression. Reverse Lovers, there was possessiveness and controlling and jealousy. Reverse King of Wands, there was an immature male who was very impulsive and was a bully, that had a forceful nature about him, that was very controlling, arrogant, aggressive, jealous and even hot-tempered as well. Queen of Swords, there was a female who was very reserved, very private, that was strong, alert, very direct, very talkative, that may have also been a mother figure as well, that was trying to seek out some truths. Three of Swords, there was a lot of sadness, hurt, deep-rooted issues, arguments and a lot of angry words being said. Queen of Cups, there is a female who's very caring and sensitive, that is very nurturing, caring, that has some family values as well. This may be a psychic person who may be involved in the case. Reverse Ten of Wands, they did take advantage of Antoinette and they was taking on way too much than they can handle at the time. There was either a clear out of a home or moving to a new home. Reverse Page of Swords, Antoinette was caught off guard. There was a lot of hostility, maliciousness, looking for some trouble, and there was a lot of paranoia. The abductors may have had a stutter or they was very tongue-tied at the time, that had this feature about them. There is also either being autistic or has some mental issues, and they may have had some injuries that was inflicted by a sharp object. The Devil, there was jealousy and controlling and in hiding. There was a lot of dominance and violence as well. Reverse Temperance, there was a lot of inappropriate behaviour and recklessness and a lot of consciousness and consequences. Where is Antoinette Christine Cadito? King of Swords. She was with a male that is very a control freak, that is very older than herself, that has a lot of rules, who think he can take control over Antoinette. Reverse Sun, so there is a lot of sadness and niggling worries. Reverse Four of Pentacles, there is a lot of control, jealousy, gambling, risky business, and there is financial insecurities as well. Six of Pentacles, there is some social welfare and sharing and getting back on their feet. Knight of Pentacles, there is a person who is very territorial, very friendly, a very much outdoor worker who may be a farmer or involved with some animals. The Two of Cups, there is a happy couple that had some type of engagement or marriage and had a lot of harmony at the time. What is the final outcome to be for Antoinette Christine Cadito's case? Reverse Five of Cups. There is to be moving on and accepting and seeking support and focusing on the future and hoping for a reunion. Reverse Seven of Pentacles. There is to be no plans and there is to be overwhelmness. Three of Pentacles. There is to be some dedication and determination and some teamwork that is going to have a lot of attention to detail, and efforts are going to be paying off within the case. Six of Cups, there is to be a lot of memories and reminiscing about the past and the childhood. There is a lot of feelings of being homesick and being at a familiar place. Reverse Four of Cups, there is to be some motivation and new experiences and some opportunities. And that is the end of the case of Antoinette Christine Cadito's case. If anyone enjoys my videos, please like, share, subscribe and hit that notification bell. And if you have any cases you would like me to do on this YouTube channel, feel free to comment in the comment section below. And until next time, take care.